to start a timer?
No, I don't have a time. I got a new phone, so I haven't put the timer on.
Okay, good.
I'm
Jake Schriner.
Wait, who are you? What?
I'm Bob Nelson. I'm Tracey White.
And I didn't know we had started. I'm Pastor Johnny Leckie.
Is this thing on?
I was Jake Schriner. I was talking over that. And this is the Compass Conversation Podcast. Thanks for joining us yet again.
Bye-bye.
See you later. Come back next time. That's all we got for tonight.
We will follow you. You have the name above every name. We will follow you, King Jesus.
We didn't have to record it. We're gonna do it.
Yeah. That always catches me. That's the sneaky thing here lately. It's just going. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just yapping. We start. Oh, well, hey, you know what? We've started. So, to my right. Jake, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good. Yeah, the last week was okay. I mean, had the blizzard and everything that came through. I was really counting on, I think I told a few of you guys this, Wednesday afternoon, I got all my shop guys together and I said, I'm going to put this to a vote. So Thursday is payday for us. But I told all the guys, I'm like, we can take a snow day on Thursday and then we'll just have the checks ready for everybody Friday morning. Or if we come in on Thursday, I'm cutting everybody before noon. Like, we're not going to be here for a full day, like maybe long enough to get your checks, but other than that, we're out of here, I would have bet, not that I'm a gambling man, but I would have bet money, 100% of them would have all said, whoopee, snow day.
Yeah.
I could not have been more wrong. All of them, every single one of them, they all wanted to come in. A few of them take the bus, a few of them have cars that could not handle the snow, but they were all there and on time or early. I couldn't believe it. I got
money.
Well, that's what it was. They wanted the few hours from Thursday that we're going to be on there, and I was shocked, but I was like, okay, it's your guys' decision. And I went back over to the office to tell my coworker Hillary, who runs the place with me, and I was like, hey, all the boys voted. We're here tomorrow. She got really mad. She's like, oh yeah, she wanted a snow day, but she had to come in to do payroll. So. But other than that, it was fun, Friday was actually a decent day. We got plenty of sun. We did not get nearly as much snow up in Denver as we got down here. We probably had 6 to 8 inches total there. I mean, it really wasn't that bad. And all the sun came out Friday, melted off everything.
Oh, yeah.
Had a few customers. Saturday was good. So yesterday, Harper and I made a snowman in the backyard. That's always
nice. Did you sing? You don't always get to do that.
Do you want to build a snow?
No, we didn't sing the Frozen song.
That's good.
But we didn't. It's so heavy though. It's like I almost threw my back out, lifting up the middle part to I rolled up the bottom and then I rolled up the middle part. I was like, all right, let's get this up there. And I tried to pick up the first one I rolled. I'm like, nope, never mind. And I started chopping snow off of it so I could get it up there.
Oh goodness.
But yeah.
When it snows in Texas, that's what it's like every time. It's
just
never
super heavy.
Yeah, there's
wet,
never this powdery. It's always that wet stuff.
Yeah, so no, it was a fairly good week for the most part. And as promised a few weeks ago, the big reveal. And we'll crop
Can you see that?
Right here.
Right here. Notice, zoom in and pause.
But yeah, so
take a look at that.
We got I did the garden layout. So very similar stuff to what we were doing last year.
Yeah.
Just kind of in different areas. Good crop rotation, if you will.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had such great success with onions and carrots. I figured why not do as much again? And then we got the garlic in the ground already too, so that's where that is. We'll have plenty more space for peppers, and then I've got tomatoes kind of split up. I thought maybe it'd be cool to do like cherry and grape tomatoes on one side and bigger beefsteaks on the other side too, just to split them up that way. But
Did you find any bacon plants?
bacon plant, I have not found bacon. I don't think we're allowed to have pigs in our plot. I'll have to check the rules.
Plant pigs.
I don't think there's. It would be funny though. I always thought it'd be funny to like do something not gardening in our plot. Like, what?
Yeah.
This is my land. I can do what I want. Like, do something else with it, Set up a chicken coop out there,
Oh my goodness.
But I'm
See how
sure
my
they would.
brain's turning.
I know.
Yeah. But something to look forward to, and that's going to be here before we know it. Our first work day has typically been
Somewhere in April.
End
right?
of April is when we go get it all cleaned up, remulch the paths. You know, we can have, that's the day we could potentially do the tilling and lay out some new soil, or we could save that for, you know, a few weeks later. It all depends on the weather, of course. But yeah, and I'm expecting an email from Linda pretty much any day saying, hey, gardeners, you know,
guys ready?
season's coming up. Yeah.
You got the auto reply already said, Linda, we're there.
Right, yeah. I've already typed out an email. It's saved in my draft. And I don't know if we are going to be blessed with a second plot again this year. It kind of depends on how many new people they have show up. But if we are, my thinking for that second plot was to go super low maintenance and do watermelons and pumpkins.
Yep.
Just plant those and let them go.
Yep.
And that would be a
love it.
lot of fun and really easy to do too. So. Yeah, so I'm super pumped about that. All the peppers in my basement are sprouting really well. They're getting
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, so something exciting to look forward to.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you for that farm update and all the rest.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, well, glad you're here, my friend. Bob, how are you doing?
Next, weather with Bob.
100% chance of it.
There's gonna be weather. There will be no weather tomorrow.
I will be the reddest weatherman in the world.
Accurate.
So, I'm not going to talk about today. I'm just going to leave it to that. I did get some good food over at there's an El Salvadoran place called the Pupusa House over by what is that? Chambers and Isle.
Yeah.
And they've got some really good food there.
Cool.
It's different. It's good. You got the sampler platter. But anyway, so that was good. But it was kind of just a weird day. I'll leave it at that. But the previous days to that, I took a mental break Thursday and Friday with just taking a couple days off. But Joy was also out of town, got her out before the storm on Wednesday. So she got to Texas no problem. She had a great time down there. Came back yesterday afternoon, tired as expected, and so. Awesome. But it was really just it was nice. The dogs loved the snow. It was okay. I've got equipment to deal with it, but I did put because it was such slushy snow. I did put my the water resistance on my boots to the test. They did pretty well. Not entire. They're not waterproof, but they resisted a lot of that very wet slush on Friday actually. So yeah, it was nice. I'm just kind of hanging back, catching up on some reading and binging on America's Test Kitchen. So yeah, and, I know where I get all these crazy ideas for food.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm doing okay if I ignore it today.
All right. Well, I'm sorry you had a tough day, but we're glad you're here.
So am I.
Glad you're here to throw a wrench in everything. In a good way. Here, so. All right, jumping across, Tracey White.
Sports with Tracey.
And the ball was hit.
The sleepless Olympics continue. Very tired. We talked about that before press and record. But outside of that, just continuing to work on the house, and everything's going okay. We did get a little bad news about Carol, Kathy's mom. Today she has progressed another step in her condition to the negative, and is now wheelchair bound. So,
Wow.
yep, that's kind of a bummer. And that's right on the heels of her aunt dying. Her aunt just died. In fact, a couple of her sisters, they did make it to the airport.
Okay, yeah.
But they had somebody take them straight from Colorado Springs to the airport. We're going to pick them up tonight and get them home.
Wow.
But which they come in late, like 11 o'clock. I'm like, no big deal. We're up anyway.
Sleep schedule, yeah.
Till 1:30. Oh my goodness. That's horrible. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's what you got.
So, and the latest news with Johnny. School news.
Up next, the world in crisis. More about that later. Anyway, no, that's wrong.
You sound like
That's from
James
Strong.
Jameson.
Oh my gosh. No, I was doing a little strong bad from Homestar Runner, the old classic from the 2000s web series. Anyhow, so no. Yeah, I'm okay. I don't have all that from today. Today was my last basic day before getting back to the school. But we had a nice break in. You talk about the snow. Yeah, it was a lot of snow on my drive. So that was one of those where you shovel in, you lift up, and it's a chunk that big.
Yeah.
It's like I felt like
Breaks your back.
Flintstones moving boulders or something. I don't know. But my neighbor across the street, I agreed to help her because she's had some back surgery that she's been recovering from. So now when it snows, I always go over and then also shovel her driveway as well. So yeah.
Got a good workout then, eh?
Yes. Now what was great was like the next day, I did that afternoon when it was all coming down, but it still kept coming down, right? So I was still shoveling in the snow going, this is kind of dumb, wait a minute. But so there was another few inches, and so the next day there was some across the street too. I left mine, I didn't care, it was fine, it was melting fast.
Yeah, you got a south
south facing house, it's fantastic. But I noticed a neighbor I had not met yet who had stepped out there and was kind of clearing out her driveway. Oh, this is a great opportunity. So I went out, met him, helped finish that up. So that was kind of cool thing that kind of came out of that. But no kidding, when I was shoveling, all these snow berms are like little mini mountain ranges everywhere. But yeah, it was that high on my yard. So I went out and shoveled it in half the other day, just so it would melt faster. But anyway, when you were saying that about people coming in that you weren't really expecting, it reminded me, it was like a serious flashback to when I was in high school. And I worked at Sirloin Stockade Steakhouse.
Nice.
Right? And so it was, I think it was Memorial Day or Labor Day weekend, I'm not sure. And my friend had come in and he was all bubbly and doing like this. Like, man, you bumped out, we're having to work on this holiday. He goes, no, man, don't worry about it. He said, everybody's at the lake today. Nobody's coming into the steakhouse. And he was just like, cha, 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 cha. So we got started. I mean, as soon as it opened, all these people started coming in. And he was in the back of the kitchen. He was like, why aren't you people at the lake? What are you doing? Get fired. But that's what I thought. All these people came in on that holiday. He's like, why aren't you at the lake? Oh, well, all right. That was my story, and I'm sticking to it. So what do you guys want to talk about? Not a whole lot's happened since last we spoke, but here we are.
Service yesterday.
And
We did have a service.
while you were standing trying to stay awake for it.
Well, that's true. There were a lot of sleepy faces on
Yeah.
Sunday, I will say.
Kathy was struggling, and it's not your fault.
No, I understand.
Your lesson
I
was
understand.
engaging. It was a
Okay.
good lesson. It's just this sleep thing that we're doing.
Well, hey, no, Kathy,
And she's-
brought everything back alive with her falling tree noise that she was stretching, yawning, whatever was that. Like,
All right, I didn't get a chance to rewatch. Did you hear it?
yes, you can hear it.
Yeah, you can hear it. I was
You hear it really
outside
well.
watching it live stream, reading, and I could hear it. It's like, what is that? And then Johnny addressed it.
That was a yawn. Oh yeah, we're gonna have to. I'm gonna have to bring that up.
Yeah, go back and listen.
Yeah, just watch
It's
the first
there.
10 minutes. It's
That's
That was funny. It was for sure funny.
That's the entertainment for the day.
Well, what do you guys want to talk about yesterday? Anything stand out to you? It was St. Patrick's Day. I didn't even say that with an
It's
accent.
St. Patty's Day.
St. Patty's Day, nobody seemed to care. But
We were joking a little bit about that because somebody had mentioned that nobody does St. Patrick's Day in Ireland, and
yeah, right.
well, no, they had a St. Patrick's Day parade for all of the foreigners.
For all the
that were
foreigners that were
there,
there.
vacationers, and it was held true. I was briefly passing by the live recording of the parade, and they were interviewing Americans and somebody from somewhere in South America, Brazil. That was the other one. So yeah, so it was pretty funny.
It is funny. And it's not this is one of those random holidays, almost like Groundhog Day
Yeah.
in some ways, but it just fell on Sunday, so it's not okay. we'll call it out. There's
There's probably
cool
some
things
history
going on.
behind it, like to appease voters of the Irish descent. They
Probably.
Perhaps. Perhaps.
That was a thing in Illinois. It was called Kazimierz Pulaski Day.
Kazimierz
In the
Pulaski.
state of Illinois, Kazimierz Pulaski was a Polish guy that helped fund the Revolutionary War.
Oh, cool.
And the governor of Illinois back in like the 60s, to appease a bunch of Polish people that lived in Chicago, made a holiday,
Made a holiday.
Kazimierz Pulaski Day, to win over voters. And to this day, kids still get the day off school for Kazimierz
Oh,
Pulaski
wow.
Day. Yeah,
All right.
absolutely. Yeah. So
Good for you, Kazimierz.
there are stories behind these random holidays.
That's awesome. I love that. Yeah. Local holiday.
That's awesome. So, Kathy and I, we got back to last night to stay awake. We watched some episodes of The Chosen, season 3, we're on. And one of those episodes was straight out of the lesson.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Did they do a good job of doing what I talked about? 'Cause I haven't seen that.
Yeah, I think they did. No, it was the whole thing. You know, why do you talk in parables? It was that
Oh,
part
right, right.
where the disciples were asking him for all of that, and
So Mark 4.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I
So
think
that
the
is-
dialogue was taken out of the Matthew passage because it was a little more extensive than what's in Mark. But yeah, it was.
That's funny.
It was that was that, and so whenever we were watching that, we were like, "Hey, we did that.
Just heard that yesterday.
We just heard that."
Oh, good.
So that was pretty cool.
Awesome.
The
That gasp.
The one thing,
That's fine.
yeah, thinking about that, the part that always sticks in my brain on that is, you know, the reason why Jesus spoke in parables was to fulfill
A prophecy.
Jeremiah about,
Mhm.
you know, there's going to be a bunch of people who,
Isaiah.
or sorry, Isaiah, yeah, there's going to be a bunch of people that don't.
It's okay.
Yeah,
You've had that day. It's all
Yep.
good.
Yeah. Sorry. There's going to be those people that have ears, but they're not going to listen. They have eyes, but they're not going to see. And then you brought up the point with the Pharisees, who realized that he was directing this one specific parable at them,
Yes.
that they might see and they might hear, but they hate you.
And they don't really get it.
Yeah, and they're going to choose not to get it.
Yeah, these are the parts that are pointedly offensive to them.
Yep.
That dialogue was definitely out of Matthew whenever Jesus was talking about fulfilling Isaiah's prophecy, and said, which says, "You will listen and listen."
You can see, look
But
and
not
look,
perceive.
and
Yeah.
not see.
Look and look, but not perceive. Listen and listen and never understand. So it's kind of cool whenever they do that. Whenever there's very specific things out of the Bible, they're pretty faithful to that. It's all that in between filler that what might have happened between here and there, based on the knowledge of customs at the time and just the environment at the time, and I think it's really pretty cool.
Well, cool.
But I have yet to come across something that I'm like, oh, what?
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
That was good to hear.
And one of those episodes had I think it was the first bringing back to life of the girl. Yeah, so that was. Whew. I like
So
it.
with entertainment news today, we have
We go back to
It's
Tracey
not a
White in his commentary on
Sorry, it's a plug for the Chosen, but I think the other side to that is it's a plug for the church because
yeah.
we're in the same thing and staying we're in the Word all the time, and I think that's really a good thing.
There's a lot
It's
of-
just whenever we find those
Yeah, that's fun.
things that connect to that, I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, you take it for how it is. I mean, it's kind of like getting a harmony of the Gospels, and sometimes people try to do that, but it's kind of tricky in places because they're really emphasizing such different things. But yeah, if you're just doing a show, you're just sort of doing that.
Yeah.
They're mixing some things together, and even the director I've seen talk about that. But yeah, Mark, I try and when I first started Gospel of Mark stuff way back, I thought to myself, we're gonna just put blinders and only talk Gospel of Mark. But I just thought, to make sure these things are clearer, I do want to dip into Matthew and other places too. So we haven't stuck to that entirely, but I think it makes it richer and helps us understand, because we only have so much time, right? I mean, we've been in the Gospel of Mark for a long time.
How many years now?
It's like, if you wait around a couple of years, we'll be in John, and it's like, I need to bring that stuff in.
No, I think it's cool.
Because a lot of people will have forgotten certain things by the time.
So I've been coming to Compass for almost 3 years now, and we were in I think we were finishing up chapter 6 or just starting chapter 7 when I.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Yep. So
think about that.
5 chapters in 3
All the stuff
years.
you missed.
I know.
Go back and listen to them. I get caught.
I had to read it on my own. I was so lost.
I had no idea what to say.
We've been for 4 years now, because it was right before the pandemic when Joy and I started, and I think it was Mark 2.
There you go. Yeah. Now, to those who are listening who do not fully understand this, we have not been every week in
Yeah,
the
right,
gospel
exactly.
for years.
One word at a time.
We're gonna read
Probably.
Mark 4:10. When? Well, what does that mean? When? Let's dig into that a little.
That's great. That's good too. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's been kind of like that in a few places for sure.
Well, yeah, I mean.
But I go back to that first year. I mean, it was once a month. But then when we got to Thanksgiving time, and then there's breaks and things, and it was Christmas.
Yeah.
Sometimes the last one would be in October, maybe in November.
Yeah.
So it was only 8 messages from the Gospel of Mark in a whole year.
Right.
So that's why it's taken,
No, we poke fun, but I think it's really great because it's something continuous, and you do the other series, here as we go, but we're always also
In the Gospels.
in Mark, yeah.
But in Mark right now, yeah, for sure. Well, we're at that cool place in the Gospel of Mark too, where if you've been watching a series for a long time, and then you're starting to see things from season 1, and now it's so rich and everything's all the time has gone by. Well, the Bible's not really like that, but in our covering of it, we're at that point where there are throwbacks, where you see how it all starts to work together. And Gospel of Mark has been criticized over time by some commentators as being a simplistic telling, right? But as you get into it, you realize it's not simplistic at all.
Right.
It has a certain style, and it has a very clear purpose in how it's going about it, but it's very rich, right? So anyway.
One way of kind of looking at it is Mark will drop a rock right in the middle, but you see the ripples on the very outsides.
Oh, yeah.
Because it is a very complex, yet simply told story.
Yeah, that's the sort of the brilliance of it. Of course, I'm not just talking about a piece of literature, it's the living Word of God, of course.
Also.
But you begin to see, when you can pull back those layers and see, wait, who wrote this again? And it's like, this is the way that God spoke through them was revealing certain truth and putting certain things together that I don't even think, even as Mark was recording from most likely Peter's telling and listening to Peter preach and talk and putting that all together. I don't think he even would get up and say, well, now you see, what I did here connects. It's just God speaking through it in a powerful way.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. Gospel. Love it.
Yeah, there was a verse, and I can't remember if it was this week or last week, that stuck out, that kind of made me think the same thing on the fact that it's God's living Word. There's something in the Old Testament where the author was writing it, and it doesn't fit with the rest of the passage, and you think, he knows it means something really important. What did he think it meant at that point in time? Because it's something that comes into play when Jesus comes around with whatever it was. Well, Lord, I wish I could remember what it was. But it's just really neat because you know that he wrote it and he's probably thinking, I don't know why I am the Holy Spirit's making me write this, but I'm writing it anyway, and it will become very clear once Jesus fulfills the prophecies.
Yeah, there was some of that even in yesterday's message too, right? There are people who longed to see the things
Right.
that you're saying,
Yeah.
to hear the things and understand them. And I think that does point back to many even Old Testament figures and prophets and leaders who they had a veiled understanding, but they had faith, right? It's always about faith. Faith looking for the Messiah, or us faith in what the Messiah did, and our faith in today. It's, I mean, salvation always happens by faith, right? So I'm just saying, yeah, how cool that is. These
Yeah.
guys, they didn't know, they didn't understand it fully.
Yeah.
Jesus just,
That's awesome. Which is why it's the whole Bible, not just the Old Testament, not just the New Testament. You need it all together.
Yeah.
yes, so true.
So there's something about grapes that I want to point out, being the
Yeah,
garden-minded.
Yes, garden
I
man.
am.
By the way, there was a lot I could have talked about. I mean, I will say, I'm gonna let you finish. Sorry, that's another weird throwback. But I was gonna say, I could have really parked on some of that vineyard stuff, but I was already had a big old long message. So anyway, go ahead. Fill us in.
So a couple things. I don't know if you know what the anatomy of a grape plant looks like. There is the vine, but then there are the branches, and the fruit comes from the branches, not the vine. And there's a song we sang a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
That's, you know,
We actually sang it yesterday, I think.
Was it yesterday?
Teach me to abide.
Yeah.
I'm the branch
Yes.
and you
Yes,
are the
yes, yes.
vine.
So yeah,
Draw the close.
so and you know, in the gospel it says you can know a tree by its fruit. Well, on a grape tree or plant, if you will, the fruit comes from the branches, which we are the branches stemming off of the vine that is Christ. And then something else that's a little bit more like bigger picture is you can make an entire vineyard off of one. It's called the mother vine. But what you do is you can cut the branches. You can take branches and put them in soil, make sure it's, you know, in a good condition and stuff, but those branches themselves will create roots and grow, and they will produce the exact same fruit as the mother vine, and you can do that indefinitely and infinitely.
So we're not planting any grapes this year.
No, we're not doing grapes this year, but I do like the just all the parables that have metaphors for farming and agriculture and things like that. I think it's a good understanding for that. But yeah, like we, you know, if you take the gospel and all of that teaching and, you know, you really plant yourself in it, you can produce amazing fruit. That is exactly what you're supposed to be producing, you know.
Amen. Come on. Preach it, brother Jake.
That's it. Yeah,
You were right on target, man.
yeah, it's just it's cool. Like if you look it up now and you look up the, you know, anatomy of a grape tree or whatever, it all fits with a lot of these parables that are, you know, thousands of years old. You go, oh, they still, you know, they even got the science right. You know what I mean? But it's really good. And that kind of stuff I think speaks to me big time.
Yeah, and it was such an important crop. And it was something that when I mentioned, I think I mentioned very briefly how it needed to be tended to very well and very carefully. I believe, and I'm just pulling from memory now, that when a tenant farmer would come into a land and almost anything but a vineyard, they had the option to plant some other things, but with a vineyard they did not,
You gotta leave it
because it has to stay. That time of harvest and when the fruit began to produce, that's the time when the owner of the vineyard comes back to get some of the fruit, right?
Comes back for the harvest.
Comes back for the harvest. But yeah, it just adds another level of condemnation as the metaphor for the religious leaders being the keeper of the faith of Israel and being the chosen people, and how they had utterly failed in that true implementation of that. They were not good vine dressers or tenant farmers of that vineyard. in that same way, that whole idea that you were just saying about how one can reproduce and understanding God's love for all the world and who the Messiah, what he would look like and what he would be. They just missed it so badly. You know?
The sad part is they often actively acted against it. Even.
Right.
And that was his point with, he sent some servants and they got beat up and thrown out. He sent some other servants, they got killed. He sent his son because they'd respect his son. No.
It was a real indictment to even the nation of Israel as God's chosen people. I mean, he says, so what will the owner of the vineyard do? He'll come in, he'll kill them, and he'll give it to somebody else. Mm-hmm. Well, this is, you don't want to twist or read too much into a parable there, but there is that implication that what Jesus was about to do was going to start something fresh and new, and the old covenant, and Israel had failed in this, in his mission, and now the heart of what we call Christianity was the giving to the others, and predominantly to the Gentiles, as we see through the rest of the New Testament. So,
when you made a comment about the patience of the vineyard owner,
yes, right.
And then if you go through the Old Testament, how many times did Israel fail?
Yeah.
I mean, time after time after time after time. And so then at the end of that parable, he's going to come in and kill them and give it to other farmers. That's how much patience can you have?
How many thousands of years do you need?
Right, yeah.
And again, and it is over the scope of history there too. I mean, those guys that he was talking about there were certainly guilty in that moment. But yeah, we're going a long history, because I always think, they really blew it, they really blew it, they really blew it. And I'm like, well, we really blew it, right? So in fairness in this deal, if it had been us, we would have been the ones messing it up too. But God knew is the thing, He is the cornerstone. There was a story, I didn't tell this, because I don't know how much truth there is to it, but there's at least maybe not a myth, but there was a story about the building of Solomon's temple. And essentially the story goes that they brought in this massive rock. The people who were building the temple began to build it. They did, what's this? We don't know. So they moved it aside. And then they built, and then they sent to the people who were providing from the quarry, we need the cornerstone. Now, this is why the story is weird, because you wouldn't get it last. Because we're missing the cornerstone, and they said, we've already sent it to you. What do you mean we already sent it to you? Because they went, and the weeds had grown over the big stone, and sure enough, it was the cornerstone. Hence the idea in the Psalm of, and again, there's not a passage in the Bible about any of what I just said. But that in my study and research, that story came up as a possible thing behind what inspired that idea of the stone that the builders rejected has become or is revealed, I would say, as the cornerstone. The one that the whole building in ancient times, it really all kind of held together on that stone. But so take that with a grain of stone. But I didn't have time for it. And I also thought, why am I telling the story? It's kind of an interesting tidbit. But do you know anything about that, Bob?
No, it's a new one on me. I can see how it sprouted, because somebody would see Solomon's temple and they would think of the Psalm and that cornerstone.
I don't know.
And that actually might be the one I'm thinking of, the verse that I'm thinking of. The cornerstone that was rejected. It's like, why would that happen?
Why would you reject the stone?
Yeah, and
it was the idea, at least in the story, is it was not recognized as the stone. So.
The civil engineer
We're just having fun now
on his plans.
Wait a minute.
This is.
It wasn't.
We forgot something. Oh my!
It doesn't have a barcode to scan. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe it was in the early stages of the building. I don't know. There's no way. I can't remember the story, but it was something like that idea. Even if there is no story, if none of that is true at all, it's still the whole idea of a builder rejecting the stone that would hold it all together. And that's what he was communicating to them. He's like, I'm him.
Yeah.
I am that stone. He was saying.
And then
Scandalous.
it reflects the same issue with building, your house on stone, or building it on sand. What's your foundation and how's it going to hold up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the way, most of the temple's been destroyed.
Maybe it fell so fast because. No, I think it
I had a lot of help on that one.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, there are a lot of the other stuff. I know we're getting short on time now, but there is the idea where Jesus says that he is the stone of, well, Peter refers to as stone of offense, a stone that causes people to stumble, the stumbling block.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a confusing idea, but, for a long time I didn't really understand that. What do you mean, the stumbling block? Jesus is stumbling block. I thought he was the one with open arms. But the truth of the gospel, the truth of who Jesus is what people get stuck on. He either is who he said he was, or he's not. And that's why we went into that whole bit. The sort of secret, really almost afterthought of what the message title is, and it's actually in what I posted here today, is who Jesus really is.
Mm-hmm.
And then the subtitle, the parable of the vineyard or whatever. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of the crux of it, it's communicating who he is.
Yeah,
And you will stumble over that truth, or you will embrace.
Yeah, and real quick, it was that you said it a few different ways from a few different authors, with the ultimate idea being something that was that's I think the Case for Christ guy.
I know
anyway, yeah,
Lee
Strobel,
yeah.
He sums it up in 3 words. If Jesus cannot be just a good moral teacher, he's either a liar, a lunatic, or he's Lord.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's what I was quoting.
C.S. Lewis.
He was quoting all that. And of course, the thing is that it goes back even farther. But beyond him, what was his name? They call him John Duncan. So it's like how I threw in a Scottish guy on St. Patrick's Day. Let's see what Irish. But yeah, that's
That would be Lucky Charms.
it's
Not the same. Not
that guy. No, that's an Irish guy.
Different.
That's an Irish little
That's
guy.
Irish.
Leprechaun.
Marshmallows, sweet surprises. But anyhow,
Pots and golden
oh,
rainbows.
for love. way off.
Now you know.
I know, but anyway, yeah, it's a famous argument, it's a famous thought, and I thought I would read. At first, I thought I would just read a little snippet, but that little chunk of C.S. Lewis from Mere Christianity is just so good
Yeah.
that I always sound smarter if I'm quoting C.S. Lewis anyway, most of the time. But anyhow, all right. Well, anything else before we get ready to wrap things up? We do have some stuff coming up, but is there anything else about yesterday you guys want to talk about? I'll take that pause as let's move on quickly. So this Sunday we're going to be here at the studio.
Yep.
I got to make that happen. Make sure all snow is shoveled away. And
It'll be melted by then.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be a 60s.
I'll prove inside, haha, between me and Bob there. And then the following week, Easter, just another reminder, it's going to be great. Doing pancakes. The feed's going to start later. It's going to be a very, I think, special time.
Yeah, the harvest from the bacon plants.
That's right. All the bacons we planted back in the fall are now ready.
Bacon's got to be good for you. They cure it, right?
Yes, exactly.
Oh my gosh. Well, all right. You know what? We meet somewhere in the world every single week. But you can usually find us online if you go to Facebook, search for Compass Church Colorado, and you can discover more at compassdenver.com. And we'd love to have you as our guest this Sunday. All right, guys, final words.
Love you guys. Love everyone out there.
One thing that we forgot.
You know what? I just thought about that.
Okay. Final words?
Yes. So my final word, besides likewise, would be, for God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whosoever believes in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life.
Very
John
good.
3:16.
Awesome. Thanks for remembering that, Bob. Awesome. Good final word.
I was
Good.
going to get that if we didn't.
Likewise to that. All right.
This has been great because he is great.
Grace to you and peace. That's all we have for tonight, and we are out. Bye-bye.
I feel good. I finally nailed it.
You nailed it. No,
Perfect.
no owl quoting. Good job.